Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Enter the Ether, the podcast all about the upcoming third-person MOBA Ethereal Clash of Souls. And I do mean podcast. You can get this anywhere fine podcasts are listened to. I'm your host, the Man Goose. Joining me, as always, is my friend and co-host, JellyKnees. How you doing, Jelly?
I'm great, Man Goose. We switched up the intro a little bit, and you got tripped up on it. So
Yeah.
that teaches you never change the intro. It's always the same.
I'm going to keep doing it until I get better at changing it.
There you go. All right. I'm fantastic, Man Goose. Happy to be here, man. How are you?
Pretty good. That was an exciting community corner you guys had recently. Learned quite a bit. I just saw Smudge in the background. Learned quite a bit. We got Malware's Kit. We got the map reveal, which was done the day prior, and then of course on for the minions we saw that the map reveal, and yeah, everything looks fantastic, and hopefully this will make the game run better for people. I haven't had a problem with the game running poorly for me, but I guess people with even lower end computers, and I don't even have a high end one. I got a 1660 Ti is all I got, but
Hey, man, whatever works.
yeah.
And speaking of Smudge, she also made a cameo in the community corner. She was like right there in the background, like smacking the wall, and I could hear it. And I was trying so hard to like keep it together, knowing that was happening. And I look over and I see her there on camera, and I was like, "Don't say anything, don't look at it, don't think about it." Just
If we don't get Smudge as a familiar, I will be so upset.
I agree. I want Smudge to be in Ethereal all day long, 100%.
Speaking of familiars, that was, so you guys were talking about your roadmap, and that was on there was more familiars, add new familiars to gameplay. Now that is specifically referring to familiar spells, right? Not the physical familiars that will be present in game.
Correct. So that is specifically the familiar spells, and then in midterm there is add familiar models in game.
Okay.
And so that will be the actual characters themselves being embodied in the game.
Okay, right on. So yeah, if you guys don't know, then the familiar spells come with an actual familiar, so you'll be able to tell who has taken what, if they have like a little owl following them around, or a mouse with a sword, or what have you. I forget what we saw, the rock guy and the little genie knight thing.
Yeah, I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, and there are even some that we haven't disclosed yet as well that are already designed and ready to go to.
Yeah. Which is really freaking cool, and I think that is going to be one of the main monetization points of Ethereal, is selling these, because that's a huge thing for all sorts of games, is selling pets, like just cosmetic pets that don't really do anything. The familiars actually do something, but as we can see, you don't need the physical model in the game for it to function. But being able to pick and choose amongst various cute little critters to follow you around, and you know, monetizing that is going to be huge, I think.
Oh yeah. I mean, you see it all the time in like MMOs that they monetize cosmetics for their pets or their followers or whatever. So I think, and that's a huge thing there. So of course it's going to be a huge thing in a MOBA as well.
Yeah. I would also like to see like certain achievements unlocking familiars. That would be a cool concept, because that's something you can do in MMOs, is, you know, certain pets are unlocked via various mechanics. But definitely I want to see them for sale for real money, so that the game can sustain itself and keep moving forward. And that's just
throwing it out as an idea.
Another cosmetic. Oh, go ahead.
But like, if you, for instance, this is by no means happening, confirmed, because I just thinking of this. But when you kill 10,000 wyverns, you get a little miniature wyvern that then is a cosmetic for one of your familiars that can fly around or something. It'd be a cool little thing like that, where you could have achievements, like you were saying, to get something cool like that.
Break enough rocks with a run, then you get like a little pet rock that follows you around. It doesn't have any animations. It's just a rock. It just
a rock with googly eyes, and that's
it. Yeah, that'd be great.
I'm a big fan of that one.
Again, this isn't actually something that's going to happen in the game. Maybe it will, maybe it won't, but we're spitballing ideas here. This isn't official information.
Make it happen. This needs to happen now.
So let's talk about the map. We've already talked about it on For the Minions. We talked about it in the community corner, but I want to talk about it some more. So the lanes, as if you don't know, are separated in Ethereal. I think Skifter said it best. It's a check mark. Like, you got a lane here, and then a lane up here. So, and they're all separated out and everything, but now they have their own unique identity. You know, Ice Lane has snow and ice all over it. Fire Lane looks burned out. The trees are devoid of foliage and kind of, there's cinders and there's lava flowing around and such. And then Void Lane is just kind of a nice little nature preserve, but I don't know how that says void.
I mean, in the future, the plan is to add more elements of like void to Void Lane to make it more like that. But for now, the other two were the main ones, and then Void just got a facelift.
Yeah. You know what I just thought of that I would love to see on the map is holes in all the lanes.
Holes?
Yeah, just that a map feature as part of the jungle. There's just a hole that you can drop through to make Iran a little more dangerous.
Great. Yeah, that's just what we need. It's more things to make Iran dangerous.
Yeah, right. Just tone down his magic damage. That doesn't work. But yeah, I think that would be really cool. But yeah, the map looks great. And you guys were saying that it's even more optimized than before. So that's great news. And then I think the best news is you were talking about the graininess has been solved through some post-processing stuff. So
yeah, all of that's been completely figured out and removed. And so it's going to look much clearer. It's going to look much better with all the improvements we've made across the board and play at least the same or better as well.
Right. Yeah. And so there are some people that don't really care for the appearance of the map. I think that's fine. Not everybody's going to enjoy it. The way I compare it mainly to Paragon's map, and I think it looks really good compared to Paragon's map, and it looks fucking amazing compared to Smite's map. So
a little bit, Smite's a little old and outdated on their map, but hey, I'll take any improvement from what we had before as well, right? Like, it's not that what we had before was terrible by any stretch of the imagination, but I think this is leagues and bounds better than that.
Right. And it's nice gameplay wise to have that identity so you know exactly what lane you're in at all times just by looking around at your environment. Something I would like to see in a lot of other MOBAs, actually, because I get pretty damn confused sometimes as to which side of the map I'm on. Because I'm not
Especially in a 3D MOBA, it's having a distinction that you can tell at a glance where you are, I think is a really huge thing to have for players.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean, the game's, as we've talked about before, is difficult enough without having to know which lane you're in by looking at the mini-map or what have you. It's a very clear visual indicator is very welcome.
Yeah.
And then,
I mean, speaking of the game being difficult to learn, one of the bigger things that's on the short-term list for the roadmap is a playable tutorial.
Yes.
Which I think is going to be huge. Being able to teach people how to use their class ability, how to buy items, how to look at the mini map, how to do all these things is going to be hugely beneficial.
And I think that's where a majority of the frustration comes in is the class abilities. I mean, we were talking to Papa K about that for the minions. And even me, I think the first time I played Ethereal, trying to break a rock on a run, I had no idea how to do it, and I was very frustrated trying to do it. And it was fun once I figured it out. But yeah, it took somebody in chat telling me, "Hit shift, dumbass," to I don't think they said it like that, but it took somebody telling me in order for me to figure it out, because there was no real clear indicator for that. Like there are indicators in the UI that show the cooldown time of your class ability. If you could just put shift under that'd be cool.
Yeah, I think that's definitely something that we're going to do as well. Part of some of our UI is getting redesigned and changed as well. So I think that will definitely be part of it, that it'll say, like the other abilities have their icon next to it.
Right.
It just says shift next to the class ability at the same time.
Yeah, I think that would go a long way towards helping people out playing Ethereal.
Absolutely.
And then, yeah, there are a whole bunch of stuff. The Marksman class ability, I wanted to talk about that because that's on the short-term features, and that's the only class ability that we don't see other than Overseers, but we don't see Overseers yet at all. But so how is this going to work? Now, I know it's kind of like Marksmen get their own sort of dedicated ward via their class ability. Is it going to be like a static ward, or is it going to be, it said something about sweeping the area?
So it's going to be something that like roams around, that we're still trying to work on the actual direct implementation of it and how you're going to choose where it goes or how it goes. But it's going to be a ward that you will select some sort of location and it will kind of have a route back and forth, traversing that area, revealing the area as it travels. So it's going to be something that will have kind of a sweeping vision for a set period of time. And so playing around that is also going to be super important for anyone that's trying to gank or anything like that.
So patrol wards, I like it.
Yeah, patrol, that's a great word to use. I couldn't think of that word.
Them.
Yeah, if you see it like go past, you're like, now's the time, go gank, run.
We'll be playing a little hood, waiting for the gardener to go past and then sneaking behind it and getting our gank
we're playing hood in other ways too, with the kit that we talked about.
Let's get into that. Let's get into Malware's kit, and probably the most impactful part of Malware's kit, his basic attack. Jelly, break that down for us.
Dude, this basic attack is going to be such a fun mechanic, I think, for the game. So it's going to be like if you have ever played a game where you have a bow and arrow and you pull it back to charge the distance and the speed that it's going to travel, it's exactly like that, but in a 3D MOBA. So Malware's basic attack will be that charged up bowstring or bow, whatever, draw of his bow that will give him extra damage, range, and then projectile speed. And this will also be the only basic attack in the game so far to have fall off, in terms of that gravity will affect the projectile as it gets shot.
That adds a layer of skill to the game that's just going to be fun. Like, I immediately thought Hanzo in Overwatch, which you wouldn't think I would be a Hanzo guy because I'm like a support person, but man, I played the shit out of Hanzo in Overwatch and actually got pretty good at him, to the point that people often accuse me of using an aimbot, but
sounds about right.
And I'm like, how would you even do an aimbot for an ability that has fall off like that,
yeah.
You know? But yeah, that's going to be super fun. That is going to be super fun, and just knowing when to just spam it as opposed to just actually drawing the bow and getting that maximum damage and projectile out of it. Oh,
and it's going to be such a huge thing. You'll see the skill level of a Malware purely in their basic attacks, right? That could, depending on how they're using their basic attacks, you'll know very, very quickly of like, this is a bad Malware or this is a fantastic Malware. They're sitting back and lobbing shots and landing them against people. I think that's the thing I'm most excited for, is being able to shoot over the rocks in that case.
Ooh.
Right? As if he's in the jungle and is perfectly aiming it up, he can shoot into a lane and potentially hit some things, which would be super, super cool.
That would be neat.
I have no doubt we're going to see montages of that, similar to we saw Rampage Rocks.
Yeah.
We're going to see people like charging up their bow and perfectly taking a shot that then gets a kill or steals a kill from somewhere else.
That just brought up a what-if question.
Uh-oh.
Is there a maximum range for it, or could he shoot from Ice Lane down into Void Lane?
It hasn't been decided. I would say that there will likely be a max range to it, because that exact concept could be insane very, very easily.
Yeah.
Right? He's just sitting on Ice Lane shooting into a Tropos cave, being like, "Hey, I'm helping, guys. Don't worry."
Poor Noxus is trying to hold it down, and all of a sudden she starts getting pinged with arrows.
Especially now that a Tropos cave is open on the top, he actually could do that, where he'd just be, if he practiced and knew where the lineups were, he could actually just sit back there and plunk away at a Tropos from a distance.
Well, I didn't notice that in the map video that the top is open now.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. I like that.
It opens up a lot of opportunity for it, for sure.
Now, some of his other abilities. So I want to talk about his passive first. Is probably what we should cover first. If you land 3 shots with his basic attacks, it applies a stack of corruption, which is a magical damage over time. But he's a stance dancer. Like, his right click, his risk reward changes his stance. So if you're in the regular stance, that corruption, adding it to a target, will heal you. If you're in his other stance, then his basic attacks cost mana, but they all apply corruption.
Yeah, which is kind of nuts. And it's going to be one of those things that I think when people first pick up Malware is going to be almost overwhelming. When you're sitting there, you're going like, how does this work? I need to understand when to switch, when to keep it, when to heal, all those things.
Right.
But I similar to his basic attack, when someone gets it, you're going to see some crazy stuff being pulled off with that stance switching and with that passive included as well.
And I could easily see like people like that need heals, just instead of drawing his bow all the way, just quick spamming 3 shots into somebody to get that heal off. And yeah,
And
it's
then,
gonna be really cool.
With that basic attack, that exact concept is also super prevalent with his passive, because he can just short draw, get 3 attacks out as fast as possible, and then put out a stack and get some health back very quickly. And so but they're going to do minimal damage. So it's that trade-off of, are you trying to get damage? Are you trying to heal? Are you trying to apply the passive? What are you trying to do?
Yeah, it's gonna be really cool. And then his Q increases your attack speed, which the attack speed on Malware increases your draw speed. So do all attack speed items affect that draw speed?
Yes. So attack speed, just the stat across the board for Malware, affects the draw speed. So it's all attached to that draw speed.
A lot about Malware reminds me of Revenant from Paragon.
To an extent, yeah. Instead of
speed,
reload, it's attached to the draw.
Yeah.
I could see that.
And then his ultimate, which we'll get into later, but... So yeah, that's... And then his E, just everything that has corruption. Like, explain his E to me. Oh, is that his R? What's his E?
The spell shield, firewall.
Oh, okay.
So he casts his E, he gets a spell shield for 1 ability for a certain amount of time. If it is consumed, if somebody tries to hit him with a spell of some kind, then he will apply a stack of corruption to whoever launched the spell, and his Q cooldown is reset. So he can use that attack speed stim again.
Oh, very nice. And then his R is where all your everything infected with corruption, you get, was it attack power from that? Or
yeah, you get physical damage, physical power from it.
Okay.
So everybody that has a stack of corruption on them, when you press your R, it's going to consume that stack of corruption to boost Malware's power, and then apply a slow to them. For every stack, the amount of power he gains will be increased. So if you've got your right click toggled on and you're hitting people with your corruption stacks, then you press your R, you're going to get a huge power spike for the next couple seconds to then just dish out damage as fast as possible.
Right.
So if you can, the thing with this kid is it's all the abilities are really trying to synergize with each other, right? Being a marksman, he's really focused on his basic attacks. And so this is, how do we empower him to have his basic attacks be really, really prevalent? Dante kind of sits in the middle of being a straight basic attack marksman versus an ability marksman, that you can kind of go either way and it works. And you can kind of go half and half and it works as well. Whereas Malware is really attached to his basic attacks, right? Everything about his basics, that's how he does his damage. Yeah. His only 2 damaging abilities are his basic and his ultimate. So everything's attached around that basic attack. So he's really a hyper carry when you're trying to like subclassify him in terms of what marksmen's are. And that was the intent behind his design as well.
I really like that too, because his basic attack is so unique. You wouldn't want his abilities detracting from that. You wouldn't want people just building all ability power and going with like crazy high damage abilities. You want to focus in on that basic attack.
Yeah, and it's exactly that, is making that the shining star of his kit by having everything else kind of work with that basic attack.
Right. Well, let's move on. Speaking of being much like Revenant, let's move on to his ultimate. So his ultimate, he fires an arrow. So you actually have to target this and hit somebody with this. But if you hit them, they get transported into not the same map that you're on, but into an individual arena where they're taking increased corruption damage, right?
Yes.
And Malware gets increased. Yeah, go ahead and explain it.
So when he shoots the arrow, it will go through minions, so he can aim through waves or whatever he wants, potentially through walls that we're going to have to look at and see if it's too strong, too weak, otherwise. When it hits an enemy myth, you both get transported to Malware's realm, Malware's arena that's going to be set up. While you're in this arena, any damage over time effects from Malware's corruption are tripled. So the damage you're taking over time is tripled while you're in this arena. So Malwares are going to want to toggle on their right click and consume their mana on their basics to apply that corruption, because it's dealing the basic attack damage and it's doing the triple dot damage, which is going to be huge for him. And if Malware kills someone while they're in his arena, he then gains a percentage of their power permanently.
Right. Which, like I said in the community core, it's going to be easy to counter malware. You just don't build power.
Yeah, there you go. No big deal.
But, yeah, I mean, that would be one way to do it, is to instead of going full power on like Dante or something, going like attack speed and crit, more attack speed and crit focused. He would still be getting a lot of power,
exactly
but
it. Is malware will struggle against more magical power comps or people that are focusing attack speed because he doesn't benefit as much from killing them in his ultimate. He certainly benefits some because there is still base power that he's earning from, right?
right.
But it is not as much as if a Dante's going full damage and malware gets a kill on him, and then malware gains a ton of power from then on out, which is, and that's going to have to be something we watch very carefully, because yes, you can pick on the support and get your little bit of power, right? Which is great. But if you do pick on the carry and win, you don't want malware to become so powerful that he's unstoppable just because he did it one time.
Right.
Like, right, we want to find a sweet spot of where, like, malware would have to do it a couple of times before the returns are super beneficial for him, where it's really, really consistent that he's going to be stronger because he's targeted the right person and killed them in his ultimate.
I can see a lot of synergy with Marina.
Mm-hmm.
Because with especially her right click, her siren song or whatever it's called, like pulling people in, that will make it very easy for a malware to hit his ultimate. And then Marina doesn't have to worry about that carry because he's going to be transported to another world.
Yeah.
So that was the danger of pulling that maneuver off on the carry as Marina. Then you got a carry in your face after you suck him in with your siren song. But now malware can boost them out. Yeah.
And it's going to be managing a lot of malware's R, I think, is going to be a huge thing, right? But before you use your ultimate, you're going to want to use your R to its fullest capacity so you have as much strength as possible going into your ultimate.
Right.
And so it's going to be interesting to see how that juggling is being done, especially because it's not like Revenant where it's targeted, that you can just select the person and they get transported no matter what. With his ultimate being aimed, he has to take the shot when he gets the shot, right? Because if he is trying to wait for the right moment, all it takes is a tank body blocking the shot and malware's SOL. He doesn't get the power from the carry that you may have lowered their health. So it's one of those things of the second you see the carry in a position where you can land the shot, you really need to take it, because you don't know whether or not they're going to be able to have another opportunity to do so again.
But you don't want to do it too soon because you definitely want to get that kill so you can benefit from that.
Mm-hmm. So it's kind of that juggling game of where do I ult with all of these things in mind.
He's going to be a very separating the wheat from the chaff kind of hero. Like,
oh yeah,
there's like everything about him is really good. Players will be absolutely amazing and excel with him, but it's going to be very difficult to get to the level of being really good with malware because there's a lot of intricacies to his kit.
I think we've already seen, to an extent, we've seen that with Malaya, in that you can definitely see there's a separation between really good Malaya players and just kind of okay Malaya players. And I think malware is like a further extent of that, where we're going to see a much bigger separation of the two groups.
Yeah, which I like to see. I really like to see. Now, a couple of us brought up some pretty unique scenarios that we had questions about with malware's ultimate, but I got one that two of us asked at the same time at the very end, and it didn't get answered. What happens if two malwares hit each other at the same time with their ultimate?
Yes.
How is it going to? I guess it's going to come down to like the 0.001 second.
Yeah. Because theoretically, if you ulted another malware, right, and in the arena, the other malware ulted you back, it'd probably reset the timer and you'd transport to the new malware's arena or the second malware's arena. But that's something that is going to have to come with when it happens. We figure out what was the interaction that did happen. Do we like it? Do we not? How are we going to manipulate that accordingly?
Talk about turning the tides. Like you get ulted, then you just immediately ult him. You're like, nope, you're in my arena. I'm not in your arena. This is how this is going to go down.
Yeah.
The other thing I had, like, what if you hit somebody that's in their fountain? Would they Will that pull them out of the fountain?
Yeah, they'd get transported if they got hit by it. Or theoretically, it's going to be harder to hit people in their fountain with the new map, but if they got hit in their fountain, they'll get transported.
Oh,
So
that
it's
would be BM as hell.
Malware waiting in base for someone to back from across the map. The second they show up in fountain, he ults them and says, "Nope."
I know what's going to happen.
No
though,
heal
that's
for
gonna
you.
that's gonna piss me off. I know what's going to happen. I'm going to charge in with a run. I'm going to grab somebody and be about to throw them off the edge of the map because that's the best thing you can ever do in Ethereal. And then Malware's going to ult them, and then they're just going to disappear out of my hands, and I'm going to be very, very upset.
Oh, it's going to be even worse if you do throw them, and in the air, Malware snipes them out of the air and says, "Nope, no kill for you. This one's mine."
I brought that up during the community corner. I want to see somebody hit Leah out of the air with Malware's ultimate.
Oh God.
I
think there's going to be, with the mechanics we have in Ethereal, there's going to be a lot of weird interactions at first with Malware's ultimate that are going to have to be figured out when it comes up. Someone's going to be like, "Yeah, I ulted Leah while she was flying, and the game went hog wild on what happened."
And we were both under the map.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see. I'm so excited about his basic attack. Like, that is truly taking advantage of the third person space. Like, I guess you could do that in like a top-down isometric MOBA.
A little harder.
Yeah. Again, Hanzo sort of comes to mind because Hanzo is also in Heroes of the Storm. And he has an ability where you charge it up and then fire it, but that's way different than every basic attack.
Yeah, there is no regular basic attack. This is it. So it's definitely one of the ways that we're pushing the envelope on the 3D MOBA space and trying to create new things for it as well.
And I had never thought of this one either. Like, usually when you guys do something, I've kind of thought of it a little bit, but you guys keep surprising me, like Grognark being able to just roll around the map, and then now Malware being able to, his basic attack being a drawn bow. That's pretty sweet.
And I mean, we're really excited that his right click changes up the formula of right clicks too. It's not just another ability that has a downside. Now it's a toggled ability, which is its own kind of pluses and minuses in terms of it's of a special ability, which is really cool.
It still imparts a decision, which I think the right click's always a decision based thing when you use them. I bet Torrin's going to be really happy with Malware. Doesn't Torrin do a lot of archery?
I think so, yeah.
Man, so another thing I saw, long-term goals. I saw a new arena map. Does that mean there's already an arena map? And
no.
And new all random map. So you guys do plan to have different game modes, but it's going to be well into the future.
Definitely. I mean, there's one thing that we've seen from Smite that they do really well that people really enjoy, and that's the arena mode. And I think we'd be dumb not to implement our own. And they've talked about it in the past. This has been something they've talked about for years.
Yeah.
We even saw Mangoose, I mean, showing our age in this community, 4 years ago, they had even a map set up that they were calling their arena map and walked around on it. And as far as I know, that map doesn't exist anymore. But
it was a try, though.
But so it's been in the plans for a long, long time. I think but this is just putting it more on the radar of a lot more people. Not just the old guys like us who remember the old maps like that.
We remember the original map trailer.
Yeah.
When the shit was real flat.
Speaking of original map trailer, the original map music came back and is now existing in Ethereal again.
I liked that.
Which is purely because I could not get it out of my head before I was making this video. And so I even like, where's this music? I need to find it. And so I asked Owen, I was like, do you have this music still? He goes, yeah, here. I was like, perfect. And then just threw it in the video. I was like, this is happening. It's coming back.
It gave me a sense of nostalgia. I don't know about...
Right?
I don't know a lot of people that would get a sense of nostalgia out of that, but I sure as hell did.
Yeah, dude. And that's what, when I hear that music, I think of the old map video. So I figured the new one had to have this music, right? Yeah. It was just one of those things.
I think that music was from the second map video after they updated it to include more verticality.
Mm-hmm.
Something else I see long term, add new myths to roster 25 plus. Is that like the goal for releases to have 25 plus?
Not necessarily.
Myths, or...
I don't think we have a set number that we're shooting for. I think it's more of a, does the game feel like it has a healthy amount of characters?
Yeah.
Especially with 6v6, it's kind of unblazed territory that we're going to have to see where that healthy balance is in comparison to other MOBAs that we've seen. But so the 25 plus is that we actually have 24 characters modeled already. And so the 25 plus is adding more models to that group and all of these other things. So those other 24 or what are we at? We're at 7 now. So 24, the other 17 that have not been added to the game yet are all in those various stages of production past the modeling stage.
Okay. Is Yara one?
Maybe.
I'm really looking forward to Yara. Big Norse chick with a giant hammer. I love it.
Yeah, but the only thing we've seen of Yara Mangoose is that one art from like 2.5 years ago.
Longer than that.
Speaking of things we've only seen in art from 2.5 years ago.
And yet I'm still looking for... Oh, go ahead.
The mech that was on the old map hidden.
Yeah, I forgot you guys showed that. So that was just behind a rock?
Yeah, it was just behind a rock. A berserker could walk up, break the rock, and the mech was sitting back there.
So now every time you guys have a stress test, I'm just going around breaking rocks instead of playing the game to try and find cool shit.
See, okay, and they've talked about it internally a couple times, but if I was still a content creator, I would have been the guy doing that in every stress test. Been like, okay, there's something on this map. I know there is. Gotta go through.
Oh, yeah. So if you guys don't know about the mech, that's Dr. Grace, one of the incoming supports. She's supposed to have a mech. We don't know. Well, I'm sure you know. The rest of us don't know if she's just going to be always in that mech, or if that's going to be like an ultimate, or if it's going to be like beside her or something. So we don't know much about the mech, but we know that she has a mech involved with her somehow, and it was released in the it was hidden in the map.
Yeah, and it's modeled, so clearly there's something about the mech.
Yeah,
it's no longer just a concept art theory.
That's cool stuff. That is cool stuff. If you could just make her hair white again, I would.
let me see what I can do, Mangoose.
Thank you.
No problem.
We need to differentiate her from Bellica, because people look at Grace and they're like, "Oh, that's just Bellica."
Mm-hmm.
Give her white hair.
Let's see what else is on this roadmap. I mean, there's so many things.
Yeah, we would be here all night if we covered everything on the roadmap. I was just pointing out stuff that really caught my attention. The obelisk. Do you even know what the obelisk does yet? I
don't know. Do I?
Master skins.
Day-night cycle is in midterm, which is a big one. Weather's in long term. Yeah, there's just so many different things. Atropos phases, that's in midterm.
Yeah.
Which that's something that there's potential a lot of the community members don't know about, because it only existed on the old website that doesn't exist anymore.
Right.
Atropos is supposed to have phases and level up throughout the game. So that's going to be a whole thing that is going to be interesting to change the game on its head.
And what we see currently is his final phase.
Yeah.
His Super Saiyan form. But he starts out as a wee little guy. Not really a wee little guy, but I think he's supposed to be about the same size as Grognark or something like that.
Something along those lines. Yeah, they on the old website, I have the image, I think, still somewhere. Or I have a video on it, because I made a video of that website. But I think, yeah, the first form is supposed to be just slightly bigger than Grognark. And then second form bigger than that, and then third is the one we have already.
So yeah, that'd be really cool to see. There's a lot of stuff that is still yet to be added into this game, and there's already a lot in the game that was promised. I mean, the class abilities themselves is enough for me, but all the other stuff, icing on the cake.
Yeah, and I think the big thing with this roadmap is that there are definitely more things in short term than there are in mid and long term, right?
Yeah.
And the roadmap is supposed to show, short term is supposed to show what's actively in the works, that we're working on or fleshing out or how it's going to work and all those things. Midterm is what comes after that, and then after all of those other things have been done. So it's exciting for me to see so many things in short term where we can say, like, these are the things we're working on actively. Like, these are big things we know you guys want that we also want in the game.
Yep.
And so all of those are being worked on. Controller support. That's another huge one.
Oh, yeah.
For a lot of people.
In chat.
Mm-hmm.
Like, match history, I don't really care so much about, but progression would be nice to have. And then, of course, the animations. You guys are going to be working on animations, which is really good to hear. That's people's main complaint about the game, I think, that I've seen.
I think, yeah, once our animations improve and once we have like the casting indicators and cast settings in there, I think it's going to feel like a new game by itself just with those two additions, because you're going to have so much clarity involved with those two things that is currently missing from the game.
Right. Like Leah right now only has one basic attack animation, I think. She just kind of digs up with the trident. But yeah, it'll be cool to see her to like maybe fling it up and then back down and then straight forward or something like that. That's something Smite, I think, does really well, is they have almost all their characters' basic attacks have 3 phases, really. And like with the third one being somehow more powerful. I think I'm right with that.
They're definitely, I don't know about Smite, but I know Paragon had a couple different instances of basic attacks.
Yeah.
Depending on what instance you were in, how you were attacking, where you were attacking, all that good stuff.
Yeah. Okay. Well, without getting into every single one of these, I think I'm about done with this week. Unless you had something else you wanted to add, Jelly.
I think the only thing that's left that we hadn't talked about yet is the next time people can play the game, which we talked about in the community corner
a little bit.
Is not going to be in February, and March is still up in the air, but by April at the latest. Because we have so many things on this short-term list, we really want to get these knocked out before that next test happens, because we want to show significant improvement in what's going on rather than just 1 or 2 changes between tests.
Yeah.
So we really want to get these out and then have that next test when they're all implemented and good to go. And so as such, we're not doing, like I said, no test in February, potentially no test in March, and then April at the absolute latest, there will be another test.
My birthday's in March, just saying.
Me too. So hopefully.
Yeah. I didn't know that. We have the same, are we birthday buddies?
I think we're like a week apart, Mangoose. I think we've talked about this before.
Well, we're fucking years apart, but
no, we're not. I don't know what you're talking about. We look the same age.
Yeah, right. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to that. Looking forward to playing again. Kind of sucks that it won't be in February, but yeah, I would love to see a lot of this stuff added in, and I think people will take the game a little more seriously with improved animations, a chat functionality, an in-game tutorial to help them onboard the new players, and like your last stress test that you had so many people sign up and everything. Hopefully that the ball just keeps rolling. More and more people will learn about this game, and you'll have more and more people actually coming in and playing. So yeah, that's gonna be great.
I mean, the hope is as well to have as many of the characters we've already announced and talked about in there as well. So there's potential for now 3 additional characters to be in the game for that next test. And that, I mean, is huge, because that gives more variety in play. You can play different myths, you can play different styles, you can do all these different things. You can roll around on the map, you can use your bow and arrow, you can turn invisible, you can do all these cool things that don't exist in the game right now.
Yeah, and that's going to be sweet. Hell yeah, man. Looking forward to it.
Should be great.
All right. Oh yeah, one last thing, one little bone I had to pick. You guys advertised you were going to cover a bunch of topics, but you didn't cover Animore. And
that is not true. You're a flat out liar. You're a flat out liar.
What do
you call Grace's mech?
Okay, that was Animore.
Got him. Get out. I run ETE now. This is my show. I'm taking your 10%.
This is our show.
No, not anymore. Nope.
Okay, it's your show.
This is JellyKnees and more. Thank you very much.
All right. Well, I'm going to expect you to edit everything this week and have it done by Tuesday.
No. That's the and more part. I'm the JellyKnees part. You got all the and more.
Oh, shit. All right. Plugs. Did you do plugs yet? Did you plug anything?
I have not. Just twitch.tv/JellyKnees. Marvelous Monday. I have no idea what we're playing this week, being yesterday as of when this comes out. And I have no idea what we're playing next week as of 5 days after this comes out. So we'll find out, you know?
There's a game in beta right now.
Oh, what is it?
That you can request access on Steam. It's called Achilles. It's kind of a sort of a Diablo isometric sort of thing.
All right, I'm game. But 8 o'clock Mountain Time. Yeah. What about you, Mangoose?
I got nothing to plug. I guess I'm just plugging Achilles. I just throwing it out there because it's a brand new game, and you might attract some people in. And it was fun. I played a little bit of it. It's stupid fucking easy. Like, they need to increase the difficulty level. Like, they kind of advertise it as like Diablo meets Dark Souls. It was like, nah, this is not Dark Souls.
All right then.
Like, I beat the shit out of the tutorial boss with no problems.
That does not have
Dark Souls.
No, tutorial boss beats you a couple times first.
Yeah. All right, but that is going to close it out for this week. I hope you guys are looking forward to all these to this roadmap. Hopefully we get plenty of updates on this, and we can see. Is there a plan on the roadmap before we close this out? Is there a plan to like show us, like highlight it when it has been added so that it doesn't just disappear from the roadmap? Or are you just going to remove it from the roadmap once it's done?
That aspect hasn't been decided on. Where there are definitely talks of like things that we can do, either highlight it when it's been added to the game or put like a completed section that people can see what's already been on the list and now has been taken off the list. Something along those lines. We'll definitely figure out and add.
Yeah, I would like to see that. Added. But yeah, just keep an eye on Ethereal. Look forward to, I guess, either hopefully March, but probably April for the next playtest. But until then, I hope you all join us as we enter the ether. Goodbye, food. Mangoose! Special shout out to channel members Foolish Bloodhunter, JellyKnees, Meow Mix for Men, Stunt, Ferrith, and Raven.